Jai Hind friends, myself Sachin Jain, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Akgec Engineering College. In the series of lecture of web technology, the today's topic is pseudo class and pseudo element. So, these are the outlines of today's lecture. So, first we will discuss what is CSS, CSS syntax, ways to use the CSS, pseudo element, and pseudo class and pseudo element. So, what is CSS? CSS stands for cascading style sheet that determines how the elements in our HTML document are to be displayed and formatted. So, by using CSS, we can separate the content of a web page from the presentation of that content. Presentation means formatting and styling of that content. CSS enables us to make all the pages of our website look similar and consistent. So, when we will apply CSS, the web page content will look like similar or it will be consistent. So, how we can use the CSS syntax? So, to use the CSS syntax, there is a rule. First, we will write the selector, then curly braces open, then property that we want to change, then semicolon, then value, then semicolon, colon, then semicolon, and then curly braces close. So, if I want to make changes on a paragraph, so what I can write? P curly braces open, then property that I want to change, that is a color, and what I want to make it red in color, so I will write red, then semicolon, then curly braces close. So, this is called my selector, this is my property, and this one is the value. Semicolon must be placed after each CSS declaration, and if we will not place the semicolon, then rule will not be effective on HTML, and this is the common mistake that we generally person do who is learning the CSS. So, CSS rule can be applied on three ways: inline, internal, and external. Inline CSS, when CSS code is placed directly inside the HTML within the body tag, then this is called inline style. Internal style sheet, when CSS code is placed into a separate dedicated area within the head section, then this type of CSS is called as a internal CSS. And external CSS is when we place CSS code in a separate file, and then that file is linked with that HTML code where we want to apply the rules. Then this type of CSS is called as the external CSS. So, let us take an example of inline CSS. Find an inline CSS, we simply add a style attribute to an HTML element with the CSS declaration as an attribute value. So, if I want to apply some rule on heading section, so what I will write? H2 is a heading, style equal to property colon value, then double quotes, inside double quotes. So, this is called inline CSS. Now, let us see an example of internal CSS. So, when we will place the CSS rule inside the head section with style tag, then that type of CSS is called as the internal CSS. In this example, we can see that the style tag is used, type equals to text oblique CSS we will write, and then selector is our S2, curly braces open, color colon red, semicolon. So, here the example is called internal CSS. Here the thing is inline CSS. So, we are writing this to style inside the selector, and here we are writing the rule inside the style tag, and the selector is here, property is here, and value is here. External CSS. So, when CSS is written inside the external file, and that file is saved with .css extension, and this CSS file is linked with another HTML file where we want to apply the rule, then this type of CSS is called as a external CSS. So if we will make a style.css, that is the external file, and we are writing some rule here like this: selector, property, colon, then value, and we want to apply this CSS rule, this rule inside the HTML file, and the file name is example.html. So we will link this file with this HTML file. So to link this file, this CSS file with this HTML file, we will write a code: link relation equal to double quotes style type equals to text oblique CSS hyper reference of that CSS file name dot CSS, then double quote close, this link tag close. So in this way we can link our CSS file with any HTML file where we want to apply some rules. Now this is the important topic of today's lecture, that is pseudo class. So what is pseudo class? Pseudo class is used to define a special state of an element. For example, style an element when user mouse over it. So if we want to changes on an element when mouse get over it, and if we want to change the style when it is visited link or it is unvisited link, different in colors, then we can apply pseudo class. And the syntax of pseudo class is the selector that where we want to apply the pseudo class, colon, pseudo class name, curly braces open, then property, colon, then value. So this is the syntax to use the pseudo class. So the objective of pseudo class is used to define the special state of an element. The element is same, but the state is different. So that's called pseudo class. So selector, colon, pseudo class name, then curly braces open, property, colon, value, then semicolon, then curly braces close. So this is the syntax of pseudo class. Let's see an example. Now first see that what are the common type of pseudo classes. So first pseudo class is colon link. This pseudo class is used to add a special style to an unvisited link. Unvisited link is written like colon link. We want to make a link visited and we want to change the color of visited link, so we can use colon visited pseudo class. So use this class to add a special style to a visited link. Another class is dot colon hover. It is used to add a special style to an element when a mouse over it. So when we will place a mouse over a link, then that type of class is named as a colon hover. Active link. If we want to change the color of an active link, then we can use the colon active pseudo class. If we want to make it focused, then we can use colon focus. And if first child, we want to apply style on a first child of a element, then we can use first child pseudo class. So these are the pseudo class that we can use to make a style, to apply in a style on a HTML elements. So when we are using the pseudo class, then there's some points that we want to keep in mind. So if we are using a colon hover pseudo class, then it must come after a colon link and a colon visit. So ordering of writing an element should be clear. So if we are using a colon active, it must come after a colon hover in the CSS definition in order to be effective. If we are writing a pseudo class, then its name are not case sensitive. So the name is not case sensitive, so we don't bother it. And pseudo class are different from CSS class, but they can be combined sometimes. So these are the rules that we keep in mind when we are using the CSS. So let's see an example of colon link pseudo class. So in this example, we can see I'm writing a selector A colon link is a my pseudo class, curly braces open. Then property that we want to change, that is a color, and the value that I want to change, I'm just writing the hex value of that color code, and this style get close here. So when I will use the anchor tag inside my HTML document, then this anchor tag will affect based on this pseudo class. Now let's see a visited pseudo class. So I just write a colon visited here, the color, then the color value, and this value will be changed based on this color value when we will widget this link. Hover pseudo class. So let's see an example. Here I'm just writing a colon hover pseudo class, the property colon the value of the pseudo class. So this value will be changed when we will place the mouse over it, and the color will be effective based on this color value. Now active pseudo class, again the same thing is, we just write a colon active, and the color value that we want to change will be effective in here. Focus pseudo class. Focus pseudo class can be written like this: a focus color colon value. So the thing is that we should keep in mind, first we will write the selector, then colon super pseudo class, then curly braces open, color, and then colon, then that color value. First child pseudo class. Now let's see an example of first child pseudo class. Here in this example, I'm just writing a pseudo a selector like P, and I'm just applying the first child of this paragraph P will be changed based on this curly braces, here curly braces close, this property. So text indent 25 pixel will be applied on this first child of this paragraph. So what is the first child of this paragraph? The paragraph tag is written inside this, and the first child that will be changed based on the this property value will be this. So in this way, the rule will be effect only on this section. This is called first child pseudo class. Now another important topic of today's lecture is pseudo element. So first we discuss the pseudo class, then the next thing is pseudo element. So pseudo element is used to style a specified part of an element. Till now we are just applying some rule on a pseudo class, or you can say that a state of an element, but here we will apply only some part of an element, specified part of an element. For example, if we want to change the first letter, or just a line, or just an element by applying some style over it, So I can do it with the help of pseudo element. I'm not changing whole letter, whole word, or all lines, or you can say all elements value. I'm just changing first letter, or just a line, or a simple an element. So I can do it with the help of pseudo element. Pseudo element are used to add a specified effect to some selector, and you don't need to use JavaScript or any other script uh, to make that effect. We just write the things like, first we will write the selector, then we will write the pseudo element, then that the style that we want to apply, we will write property, then colon, then its value. CSS class can also be used with the pseudo element and selector. We can write like selector, then dot the class name, then colon pseudo element name, then curly braces open, property colon value. So if we want to make a style with the help of class name, so we can write selector dot class, or in general if we don't use class, we can write the rule selector colon pseudo element property colon value inside the curly braces. In this way we can write the pseudo element. So most commonly used pseudo elements are first line, first letter, before and after. So first line is used the element to add a special style to the first line of the text only. So if we want to make changes in the first line, then we can use the pseudo element first line. If we want to change the style of a first letter, we can use this first letter pseudo element. If we want to change content before an element, we can use colon before. If we want to change the content after an element, we can use colon after pseudo element. So let's see an example of first line pseudo element. So here the code, we just write selector, if my selector is paragraph, this P first line is a pseudo element, and the property that I want to apply, we will write property colon then its value. Here no line is a class, so property selector is my P dot no line is my class name colon, hey, this one is the pseudo element, and the this one is the property colon the value. So here we can see this paragraph is written with no line class, so the rule will be applied as per this, and first line before the paragraph will be changed based on this pseudo element. So both in this example both will work, because here class is no line, here we are not writing any class name. Now another example of pseudo element is first letter pseudo element. So if we want to change the first letter of a paragraph, not whole paragraph, we can use this first letter pseudo element P colon first letter, then that rule that we want to apply font size, if you want to change, then I can write font size colon its value. Again we can write this rule with class p dot class colon first letter curly braces font size that we want to change, and its value. So this is called first letter pseudo element. Another pseudo element is colon before. So here we can write this my selector colon before content that I want to change this property, and its value is a bullet.gif that is inside the image folder bullet.gif. So here the things will be changed as per this pseudo element. We can use colon after pseudo element as well. So we will just change p colon after, and this all the things written after this paragraph will be changed as per this property and value. So in this way we can use pseudo element. And that's all for this lecture.